Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to Kamigami Battles. This is the Rive of Souls core set. So I've done a video on this before. I'll try to have some links in the description if I can, if I remember. But this is a deck building game based upon like various like religions. But they have a very anime-esque design style to them. As you can see, we have a very scantily clad lady here, and that's going to be kind of a theming throughout the entire set. Is a very fan servicey anime. There are some guys in here as well, so don't think it's just the ladies. But they're always based off of very pantheons of gods. There's a bunch of different expansions and stuff. If you get the core set, you get enough to jump in and play the game, and then you can mix and match any of the different sets together to make your own cool combinations. So yeah, it's a very interesting game. So you're each going to get to play as, each player who's playing is to pick one of the oversized god cards you're going to play as. We also have oversized location cards, which give you extra abilities. So that makes every player has 2 unique abilities or things that the other players don't have. Then you're going to have a deck of warriors you're going to get a draw from and purchase and make your deck better, different, sacrificing cards, playing different ones. You can chain them together. I'm not going to go through all the rules too much in this one. I did one of the other core sets before, Battles of the Nine Realms, which I went through all of the regular rules. Again, I'll try and link that in the description of it. You can look up my playlist on these. And that has all the basic rules in it. But yeah, there's a bunch of other expansions with Warriors of Dawn, Court of the Empires, Avatars of Cosmic Fire, and Children of Danu, which is Japanese, Chinese, Hindu? No, might be. Trying to remember which ones these were. I think that might be Avatars of Cosmic Fire might be Hindu, and the Children of Danu I think is Irish or Celtic. This has Norse and Greek, I believe. So we get a bunch of different stuff, and then there's also a couple expansions that came out after these were announced that had to do with Cthulhu, which I've also done videos on as well. This set we are actually going through, we have the Egyptians and ancient Egyptian clans, and we have the ancient Sumeria and Babylon group. So yeah, I love history. I love different pantheons of gods and stuff like that. I like learning about this stuff. And although, granted, I'm not learning any factual information, these are some people's interpretation of how these characters are. I still find it fun to get to play as different figures like this. To me, it's just a really neat idea. And it mixes my love for anime. So what do you have to do in the game? You're playing as a free-for-all match of 2 to 6 players against each other. To win a free-for-all match by eliminating all the other gods or by reaching 25 energy. So yeah, you're going to be doing stuff to defeat other players, or gaining 25 energy as you're playing through various cards. Yeah. So, the box is going to have, a manual, 22 dividers. So we're going to have all these dividers for each character. So it shows the actual card, and you can have them one direction or the other. It's going to show what number they are, everything else for all the basic cards, plus randomizers. We are going to have a bunch of randomizer cards. This is so if you want to create your own decks by mixing and matching stuff, you can pick out which characters to play as. Like they have a couple of disciples, which are like common cards everyone can draw, and you have a level 1, 2, and 3. So you can go through any sets you have, you can pick all the level 1s, mix and match them together, and then draw one. That's the one you're using. Same thing for 2, and then like all the rest, you can pick based on different elements and stuff, how you want. You can mix and match them. So that way you have you can create brand new games over and over and over without having to sit there and scrutinize over which one should do which. Oversized god cards are 12 god cards and 6 temples. So again, if you're playing a 6-player game, you can each have 2 different gods. You don't want to, but you have choices. You can play 2 games with different gods. Warrior cards, we have 90 warrior cards. with 18 different kinds, 5 of each kind. So it's pretty generous of each one. And since everything's the same, that's why you can switch them around pretty easily. 90 Disciple cards with 18 Temple Guards, 48 Magic cards, and 24 Enchanters. Basically level 1, 2, and 3. And then the 21 Randomizer cards. And then in the box, which I didn't pop out yet, is we do have some storage space in here. So your oversized cards can lay in one of either the slots. You have a little well in there for your various energy tokens, which you'll be using to spend on points. So you either want to collect 25 or not run out. And there are times you're going to want to spend them. So it's kind of an interesting back and forth. You're going to want to spend basically your health to do stuff, but it might be worth it to get an extra ability come out. And then, yeah, you can use all your dividers. They'll kind of slide in. Now, they don't fit in super perfect on the sides, but they will kind of fit in there anyhow. Then you can use, it's actually be more putting them in this way. But if you have your own boxes, you can put them in this way if you have your own boxes. But at least they will fit in here, and you could separate all your cards that way. Plus the other 2 extra little wells in here, you can put like your Disciple cards and stuff if you want to have those separate. And then the idea is also kind of supposed to be that we have the 2 big box sets and then 2 expansions that kind of don't really tie in, but you could have this one with 2 of the small expansions, the other big box set with Battle of the 9 Realms with that 2 expansions, and then the Cthulhu X 2 expansions. So you could kind of mix them all together. And this should just barely hold all of that. It's going to be kind of close, I think, but it'll be interesting to see. Alright, so enough with the hubbubaloo about all that. And again, I'm not going to go through all this too much, but it does give a good description on what everything is. And then just as a quick idea of how the play area looks like. So the play area, these are all face up at a time. If you ever get if you ever have to draw and add one, it adds to the same pile. So you're always going to have 9 different cards out at a time, which I think is it's an interesting way to do deck building. They've had other ones like Dominion, which has piles like this out at the same time, but you have 10 piles or whatever. Those are the only 10 piles you ever have. This one, they're going to constantly be rotating around. If you empty out a pile, you draw a new card. You could get the same card and keep the same pile, or you might draw a brand new one. But if you draw another one, you're going to end up, might replace these. You have ways to eliminate some of these piles to add, so you can draw for new ones. So it's neat that you're going to have kind of that rotating selection. They have other games like Ascension or Marvel Legendary or DC deck building, which have just like a row of like 5 cards, which again, constantly refresh, but you're only going to have those 5 at one time. And this is and you could end up with 2 or 3 of the same cards out at the same time. This is, again, kind of neat because it kind of combines those 2 different forms. I just want to kind of point over some of the bigger aspects of the game, which are kind of neat. We have card abilities. You pay for different stuff. Attacking your different gods and stuff. They have things like that. Then they have the ability to link cards together. So, I'm trying to see where it has one of these. They have some of these where you can, like, that's not, those are reaction abilities. Yeah, chaining colors. This is another cool combination. You just want to point out where to get the cards. So, you don't have a cost to play cards. You can play as many cards as you can as long as they link them together. Each card's going to have a big circle on there, and it's going to have 2 small ones. So you play your first card, you get to do your different stuff, your act, or if it has a react, you play it during a react action. But then you can now follow up as long as one of the next 2 meet. So this one, you have to play either a white or gray card and a green card. Play the white moon, so that matches. Now you can play another card as long as it is green or red. So buying certain cards is going to make your combos better. If you only buy the same color or the same type of card, you're not going to, oh, this card does 5 damage, but you're only going to be able to play it once if you don't have anything that links to it. So it kind of makes that mixing and matching stuff really interesting. And there's team matchup roles you can play, like 3 versus 3 or 2 versus 2. You have some different stuff there as well. And then Team Mac, you can like seal gods away. We have stuff for combining expansions. How to do that? We have an all-out various. If you want to play with a lot of players, you can actually reduce the number of cards in there, so that way you're hitting stuff more quickly. There's a big glossary about everything there. And then, of course, we mentioned the previous expansions. So again, the big box set, Battle of Nine Realms, as well as this one, and there's one for Cthulhu, can be played out of the box, 2 factions against each other. Then you can pick up any expansion and mix and match them together. So, alright, let's head in and see what we got. So here's the back of our big cards. I drop this down. So we're going to start with our Egyptians. We have Horus, the Lord of the Skies. The symbols in the middle generally only mean they're the temples that your player can use. So if I am playing as Horus and I get to the game and I want to use one of these temples, they all have their own symbols. He can only use the sun, the war, or the moon ones. So he only has access to the 3 of them. And everyone's have a little bit different. This is kind of just to help limit them, and they kind of work together with each other. Now, again, your card game, you can always break any of these rules. Let anyone use anything. You can be like, you can only use stuff from that set. You can mix and match. However you feel like doing it. So we have the Eye of Horus, which has during your act, you can banish a face-up warrior in the Hall of the Healers. So that's your big main spot on the table. You can draw your cards. You can get rid of one of them to replace a new pile. So that's very cool to be able to like refresh the deck. Then we have Birds of Prey. React. When you attack, choose one opponent to reveal their hand. If they have 5 or more cards in their hand, they must choose and discard a card of your choice. So yeah, very, very interesting ability. Next, we have Isis, the Mother God, who is Mother's Love. React. Discard a Disciple. +2 defense. You may activate this ability only once per attack. And again, if you're not familiar with deck building, so I didn't go over this, is in deck building you are purchasing cards. Everyone starts with the same basic cards. You buy cards to make your deck bigger and different from each other. Then every time your hand runs out at the end of your turn, you draw so many more cards. So you buy a card, goes to your discard pile. Then you draw cards in your hand when you need to. So as a card you buy, then get refreshed back into your deck, and you keep getting better and better in different cards. So discarding a card is not that big of a deal. You'll get it back eventually. And then defense helps protect you from attacks. Wisdom of the Stars Act. Pay 1 energy. Look at the top 3 cards of your deck. Put 1 into your hand. Put the other remaining cards at the top of your deck in any order. Getting to stack your deck is very helpful. We have a Basket, the Cat God. 9 lives. React. If you're reduced to 0 energy or less, performing agitation, then perform agitation, then reveal. If the revealed card is a warrior, you are at 1 instead. So it's kind of just basically save yourself. If you die, you get to go again. Music of the Spheres. If you have 1 or more cards in your hand, each player chooses 1 card and passes it to the player on their left. So this will kind of mess up everyone's strategy a bit. Just as a reminder for what agitation is. It's a type of action. When the ability requires agitation, reveal the top card of the draw deck. The ability will explain what happens if the specific card is shown. Put the revealed card in your discard pile after resolving it. So if you have a bunch of warriors, you're going to get... So again, all your cards are typically made up of warriors. So that's the main source of the deck. But you do have your discipline, which are kind of like your resource cards. And then some of the Cthulhu expansions do add some item cards or artifacts as well. So most of the time it shouldn't be an issue. But again, you probably don't want to be sitting at 1 life too terribly often. We have Khonshu, God of the Moon. Blood Moon Act. Pay 1 energy. For the rest of this turn, all your gray or moon type warriors gain attack 2. So they get an attack for 2 damage. Purifying Light. Act. Pay 1 resource to gain 1 energy. So this is kind of neat. His second ability, he can keep paying 1 of his points instead of recruiting or buying new cards. He can use that and I forgot exactly what the symbols are called for that, but you can keep paying that to gain more energy, so you can keep using a second one, which is nice. So you can give Honestly, now the thing is like, well, what if I pay for Blood Moon multiple times? It's gonna gain 3 instances of Act 2, but I don't think it makes a difference. I think when you play it, you have to pick which. I'm pretty sure you have to pick which of the 2 to do. Yeah, you may use one of that card's activated. It has multiple abilities. Yeah, so like I could pay for this 4 times, and give all my warriors Act 2 4 times. You'd only be able to choose the ability once. So it'd be basically a waste. We have Osiris, Judge of the Gods. Judgment of the Dead, Rack. When a warrior is banished, discard 1 card. If the discard card is a warrior of the same color, put the banished warrior in the discard pile instead. So it's kind of if somebody else banishes, or even if you banish a card, you have the chance of potentially gaining it back instead. Eaters of the Dead Act. Reincarnate a warrior from the Netherworld and gain 1 energy. So the Netherworld is your exile area. So when something gets banished, it is removed from play into the Netherworld. This lets you pull them cards back in. Otherwise, normally the Netherworld, or once a card gets banished from the game, it's just removed completely. So you could eventually run out of cards in the main draw area if you keep buying or banishing too many of them. Our last Egyptian is Ra, the Sun King. Rays of Destruction Act. Discard a red warrior to remove 1 energy from a god. So here you can keep removing them, limiting what they can do, and basically it's their health. Rays of Light Act. Choose 1 warrior on the Netherworld. Purchase a warrior as if it was in the Hall of Heroes. So again, a way to interact with that exile pile. Then we have our Babylonians. We have Marduk, the Dragon Slayer. Slayer Beast React. When a warrior attacks Marduk, pay 2 during the discard phase, banish the attacking warrior. So yeah, even if they attack you can get rid of them after all the abilities trigger off and stuff, but they just don't get that card anymore. Master of Magic React. When playing a warrior, pay 1. Swap the warrior's primary color with a secondary color of your choice. So this could help for chaining effects. So this would be like I'm playing a mutt here. Instead of red, I could change her to green or yellow. Therefore, I could now link her with a red and one of those other colors instead. So that's kind of a neat idea. We have Ishtar, the god of love and war. Inspiring Gaze, Racked. If a card allows you to draw a card, pay 1 to draw 2 additional cards. Okay, stacking your deck is not bad. Or stacking your hand quicker. Preparation for battle react. At the beginning of your discard phase, place a red warrior from your discard pile on top of your deck. So, you get a card from your discard pile, and then you have them right away in your next turn. Not bad. Anu, the controller of the heavens. Lord of the sky. Act. Return a warrior in the Hall of Heroes to the warrior deck and reshuffle the warrior deck. So we could have the one character who just banished a pile. Here's going to put them back in there. So other people still have access to them, but maybe it's just a high cost character you don't want this early on. Or you just don't want somebody else to have it. But you don't have to pay for it either. Destruction of the Wicked. Pay 2 energy. If a player attacks you since your last turn, banish 1 warrior or disciple in their discard pile. So it's kind of a good protection effect. You pay 2, and if any player has attacked you since your last turn, you get a banish from them. So if you got hit in the last turn, knowing someone can be like, hey, you guys attacked me, I'm going to pay 2 and make you have to lose something. NK. The champion of humanity, Lord of Abuzu, and I'm going to apologize if I butcher these names. At the beginning of your discard phase, take 1 warrior from your hand and place it on top of your deck. Interesting. I'm guessing because end of the turn you draw, I think you draw back up to that number of cards. If I am right, you draw X number of cards back up. Discard phase. Recruit phase. Okay. End phase. Yeah, end phase. After the discard phase is the end phase. You draw 5 cards from your deck. So, take At the beginning of your discard phase, take one warrior from your hand and place it on top of your deck. At the beginning of your discard phase, take a warrior from your hand and place it on top of your deck. Interesting. So, I was trying to figure out why this would be useful, I guess. Because then the next step would be end phase, if you draw 5 cards. Let's say I had 3 warriors in my hand, or 3 cards in my hand. I could put one of them onto my deck, which put me at 2 cards, and I'm now going to draw 3 cards. Back up there. One will be a card I just had. It says if your deck ever runs out, you get to redraw it. Next time you draw a card, you need to shuffle, so that wouldn't matter either. Huh. I'm not sure. There must be some reason for this that I'm not catching. Championing Humanity, we have React. Pay 1 energy, cancel ability that is affecting a warrior. So if there's something that's stopping them from doing something or giving them a bonus, you can go ahead and stop that. Stop them from getting extra attack. Alright, Irishigal, Keeper of the Underworld. The ruler of Ikriel, pay 1 energy, canceling abilities affecting the Netherworld. And then Rebirth Act, banish a warrior from your discard pile, gain energy. I forgot exactly what that's called. Faith. Yeah, faith is what your points are to buy warriors, recruit warriors, equal to that warrior's cost. So it's just kind of, you can discard your own characters to gain extra cost. So as you're going through the game, get rid of your weaker characters, or if you bought one early just because you didn't want someone else to have it, now you can get rid of them. And then our last Babylon is with Abal, the Master of the Elements. The Golden Idol, react when a warrior's ability causes you to gain energy, gaining additional energy. And then Lord of Fertility, react, pay 1 to double the faith granted by a warrior disciple. So yeah, you want guys to let you get energy so you can keep paying for this over and over to recruit guys quicker. Very cool. Alright, then we have our 6 locations. So 3 of them are kind of themed after the Egyptian, 3 after the Babylonian, but they don't have the symbols like they do in the bottom corner here. But I think you can kind of tell which ones are which. So I believe this is a... I don't know. I believe this might... Karnak, this might be a Babylonian one. Although it does look like Anubis, but we have another one there that might be. But it's pyramids, it's due to say Egypt. I could be wrong. React. When a warrior or disciple is banished from the... gain 1 energy on this temple. It may activate this ability only once per turn. Pay 2 energy from this temple to banish 1 warrior or disciple from your hand to gain 2 faith points. So the way these guys work is they start with 5 energy on them. If they ever run out, you destroy them. So if your opponent kind of has an option, if they can just get rid of energy, they could attack your leader, your main character, your god, try and defeat them by getting rid of energy. Or they could try and take out your temple or location. That way you can't keep using its ability. And then typically they usually have 1 ability that gains you energy and 1 that lets you spend it. And it doesn't usually gain it as quickly as it spends it, but at least it's an option. So here, yeah, you can banish a character to gain 1 energy on this temple. Then you may pay 2 to banish a warrior disciple from your hand to gain 2 recruit points. This is all about banishing a lot of stuff. Here we have the Temple of Anu. React. When you purchase a warrior disciple, gain 1 energy on this temple. You may only do this once per turn. React. When a warrior is banished, pay 2 from this temple. That warrior is placed in the owner's discard pile or returned to the warrior deck if it came from the Hall of Heroes. If the card is returned to the deck, reshuffle the warrior deck. So anytime a warrior is banished, you can pay 2 to either place it in their discard pile or put it back on it. So it can be your guys you can get back. It could be your opponents, keeping them from using the Nether, possibly. The Temple of Kanashu. Oh yeah, so I can tell here on the bottom, we have the different backgrounds. I didn't even notice that. So you have like ground, and they have the pyramids for Egyptian and Babylon. I didn't even actually realize they had different bottoms on them until right now. React. When a warrior is allowed to draw cards, gain 1 energy on this temple. And then act, pay 2 from this temple to draw a card. So I love that usually the first ones are always, if anybody does anything, you get to do this. And then the other options, usually you have to pay to do this effect. The Temple of Nabu. React, when you see a warrior or disciple, use a warrior disciple for defense, gain 1 energy on this temple. Pay 2 from this temple to increase the defense of a card by 2. You may activate this only once per attack. The Luxor Temple. React, whenever a god gains energy, gain 1 energy on this temple, and then act, pay 2 from this temple to put a disciple from the Hall of Heroes on top of your deck. And then the last one is the Temple of Edifu. When you attack, gain 1 energy on this temple, and then react, pay 2 from this temple to add +2 attack to an attack and activate. So 1 does attack, 1 does defense. You have some that let you keep things from the nether, some that let you buy stuff quicker. So all very, very interesting. And then again, as you buy other sets, you have more and more things to add in there. So let's take a look at the rest of the decks. So first up are our Disciples, which we have a lot of Disciple 1s. These are some of your starting cards. I'm going to zoom in a little bit more on these. At the start, the beginning of the game, I believe it was... They told me how many were in each pile. There are... Of the mega, there are 48 Disciple 1s, which are your beginner ones. The little bit more expensive ones are the Enchantress, which are 24. And then there's 18 Temple Guards. And these are ones that are always available for everybody to buy. I was trying to see what it says. Start with 8 Magi and 2 Temple Guards. You just start with 8 of these. So these are your basic ways to buy stuff. And like most deck building games, as you go through the game, you're probably going to want to get rid of these once you have better cards, especially ones that do more buying and attacking. But sometimes it's not a bad thing to keep some of these. Although every ability that says something to the warrior does not include Disciples. And you can always keep rebuying these, which is really nice. So we have, this is 1 faith point. So again, you start with 8, and you draw a hand card of 5. So you beginning your turn, you're potentially going to have 5 points at bare minimum to spend right off the bat. So with the top card of any deck, choose to leave that card on the top or place it at the bottom of the deck. So it's kind of neat that it gives you the alternate options. So instead of just having a card that's for purchasing and that's all it does, there could be reasons to hang on to these for later in the game, because I have the option of basically stacking my deck if I need to, which could be very helpful. And we did have that one mage, or the one god. It's like during your discard phase, you can put a card back on top. I think it's too late to use the act effect there. Otherwise, I'd say, yeah, this would be a great time to do that. If there's a react effect, maybe. Then we have our Enchantress, which they cost 3, so they cost a little bit more. But they give you 2 faith every turn. You only have 3 of these to begin with. Act, pay 1 energy from your temple, add 1 to the god. So again, nice alternate effect. You can keep using it. Basically, if you don't want to use your temple second ability, you can use the first one to keep gaining energy, then using this card to basically turn your god, give your temple from your energy to your god to keep your god alive. And that's what also makes these fun, because the disciples from the other sets have different abilities. So it's not just like, oh, I bought the 2 different starter sets, or I bought the expansions that have other disciples in them as well. So you can switch around. They're not just, oh, it's the same exact, faith effect, same single card to a different picture, which I think is really cool. Then we have our level 3, which you don't get to start with any, but you can buy. This only costs 2, but it does not have a faith ability. Instead, it has reactions. Defense is 2, and if defending a temple, draw 1 card. So if someone attacks you or your temple, you can go ahead and play this to gain 2 defense versus their attack. We saw the one guy gave out attack 2, so attack 2 and attack defense 2 would cancel each other out, for example. When you declare attack against the temple, add 1 attack to the attack value. So if you attack with somebody else, you can go ahead and play this card to add 1 attack. It's kind of a neat one if you want to protect your temples. If you're someone that really likes using the temples, this is a great card to pick up. There's other people that are like, I don't care about my temple. I'll use my ability 3 times, gain the extra energy, the 4th time, let it run out, and I'm not worried about it. But very cool. It's always about options. That always makes these games really fun to me. Alright, then let's look at the next one. So we have 5 of each of these, so I'm not going to keep saying that every time. There's always 5 of each card. But they're going to cost a bunch of various different things. We'll have, again, our chain colors up at the top. Now, there's nothing in here that I know of that indicates which realm these are supposed to fall into. So, obviously, if you know the lore, you're going to know that some of these are Egyptian, some are Babylonian. But I don't know specifically which one's which, because, yeah, they don't have, like, a little symbol or, like, we just saw the temple cards where they had that little extra background piece. We have a mutt, which costs 6, which is pretty powerful. Attack for 3. Any disciples used for defense against a mutt are banished. So attacking for 3 is pretty devastating. And then top it off with the fact that if someone does block it, they lose that blocker. So they really have to decide to play it when it's right. We have Sphinx. Perform Agitation, the top card of your deck. The card reveals a warrior, put it into the current chain and perform an act on its card, ignoring the colored restrictions, and then draw one card. Also, having the additional effects is nice. So if you're like, I know my top card's a warrior, and you can add them in there and do an additional thing, awesome. But if you're like, I'm not worried about that, I really just would rather draw another card and maybe see what I get, you can do that instead. Basically, you're getting the top card, but you have the option of, more often than not, if it's a warrior, you get to play an addict to the chain, forcing it in there. Otherwise, you have the option to draw. Why might you not want to just play an addict to your thing? Because if you know it's a disciple, like you put the top card on, it's a disciple, then you know effect's not going to work anyhow. Or, if it has an ability that says, like, banish a card, or, attack, and maybe you don't want to do one of those for some reason. So there might be reasons on why you might not want to. We have Binu, which just has 2 costs, very simple, but has attack 1. So not a big deal, but again, you can chain some of these together to do extra stuff. We have Griffin. The top 2 cards of your deck, put one of them into your hand, put the other in the discard pile. Defense 2 as a reaction. So either you can play it during your turn as an act, or play it as a defense if you hang on to it. We have Tiamat. Attack for 4. Tiamat gains +2 attack if at least one card was banished this turn, and then react to defense. So that's actually pretty interesting both ways to have. We have Nerfitity. For 3 costs. Take a red warrior from your discard pile, add to your hand, or gain 2 energy on your god. So you can just keep using this to keep healing your god as well. Hephaestus. Hopefully I'm saying this somewhere near correct. Take 1 card that costs 5 or less from the netherworld and put it into your discard pile, or gain 2 energy on your god. Kululu, which octopus mermaid type character. Interesting. Each opposing player with 5 or more cards in their hand must choose 1 card to discard of their choice. They get a choice, which is unfortunate, but it's still not bad. I always find to make people have to discard stuff. We have the Jing. Add 2 attack to the next warrior played, or draw 2 cards, or gain 2 energy on your temple or god. Get some options there. Nice, in fact, if you can chain this with the next warrior, you get that +2 attack, which would be pretty fun. We have Ifrit. Attack 2. If Ifrit gains +2 attack for each green warrior you have played before this turn. So again, chaining some of these can be very powerful. So if you can manage to link 2 or 3, all of a sudden Ifrit could have 4 or 6 or 8 attack, depending on how you do this. We have Marig. Take a warrior from your discard pile and put it on top of your deck. choose a player. If that player has 5 or more cards in their hand, they must discard 1 card of their choice. So not as good as the other one, which forced everyone to do it, but it also costs a little bit cheaper and has an alternate effect. Plus, taking warrior from your discard pile that you played last turn and be able to put it like, I just played my Ifrit. Now you can replay this on back to the top of your deck, then play another card that draws it, and you have your Ifrit back, for example. We have Salat, copying act ability from any warrior revealed in the Hall of Heroes. This card becomes a copy of that warrior, including changing colors for the rest of the turn. Or copy a react ability from any warrior revealed in the Hall of Heroes, becomes a copy of that warrior, including changing colors for the rest of the turn. So this is kind of a neat one. You also now it becomes one of 9 cards potentially that you could use, because it depends on which ones have act and which ones have react abilities. Now it does not count. It has to be a warrior, so it does not count disciples. We have Seraph. Act, we get +2 faith. This is nice. We get warriors that are going to give us faith as well. Swap Seraph with a discipline in your discard pile, then use its react ability if possible. So yeah, this could be helpful. Out of the 3 discipline we have, the only one you would have with this would be the Temple Guardian. So it's not as useful there, but that could be helpful if you're trying to protect your adding attack to attacking a temple. But again, this might be more beneficial using it with some of the other sets. We have the Cherubim. Sorry, take the bottom card from the warrior deck and place it on top of your deck. Banish Cherubim at the end of your turn. Banish 1 card from your hand. You may use your god's act ability 1 additional time this turn. That can be very powerful for banishing cards. Let's take the bottom card from the warrior deck and place it on top of your deck. So if you have something that lets you put it under there, you can definitely get that and get an extra card. Otherwise, it kind of suck to have to banish a 5 card thing to get that. But we got some guys that gain bonuses from banishment, so might be worth it just to trade her off. We have the Jackal. Has attack 2. Banish any card during the discard phase. Banish Jackal during the discard phase. Or banish any card in any discard pile, then banish this card. So sacrificing this to get rid of somebody else's card. Like, they're playing something that's, this had 1 card that had attack 4. And you're like, I do not want to deal with that again. Or the first one we had, which is attack 3. Like, Mutt, attack 3. Any disciples used for defense against us are banished. It's only disciples, it's not warriors. But yeah, someone played that, suffer the attack, then play this to banish that to get rid of that card, so they can't use that anymore. We have Alu. Play 1 card from the top of any discard pile if it could legally be played in the current chain. Then return to the discard pile it was removed from at the end of your turn. So this is a better one if you're playing with more players. You're playing a 2-player game, you only have 1 option. You're playing a 4-player, you have up to 3 options. So kind of cool that some cards are better suited for certain games or certain decks. We have the Manticore, which has attack 3 or remove 1 energy from any temple or god. So it's either you can attack for 3 and potentially have to worry about someone blocking it or stopping you, or you can just remove 1 no matter what. Which are ways to stop that too, but not as many. And then the final one we have is Geva. Remove 2 energy from your temple. If it has 2 or more energy, add 2 to any god. And then choose a player, banish the top card from that player's deck. So there is kind of a theming amongst this. Each set has its kind of own little theming to it. A little bit. This has a lot more stuff with banishing, has a lot less attacking. I believe the other core set, Realm of the 9 Gods, had a lot more attacking and doing basic damage and stuff, and it didn't have as much of the banishing in this, and this is kind of neat, because it goes the other route. You're like, I really like this game, but like, we were attacking constantly, just attacking, like, maybe you want to play it strategically the other way. You have some different options, which I think is really fun. So that's what we have for this video. Come back, check out. We're going to go through the small expansions here, but we're going to do 2 at a time. So we'll probably do these 2, and then we'll do these 2 separately. Just because there's not as many cards in each one. See you guys there. Bye.